You do too.
No, I don't.
You ever check your voice email?
Yes, I do.
Good afternoon. I'll call the Monday, July 12th Park and Rec Commission meeting to order. We'll begin with roll call of commissioners that are present, starting at my far left.
Jim Bastian.
Dale Lunenberg.
Dave Christian?
Skillings.
Leroy Floor.
Laura Evans.
Carol Corman.
And Director Tom Schmitz.
Thank you. So we'll move on then to the approval of today's agenda. Is there a motion to do so?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is approval of minutes, and we have minutes from June 14th. We need a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 14th meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve our Park and Rec June 14th meeting minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the City Council meetings recap. Director Spitz.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. As normal, there were 2 City Council meetings since our last Commission meeting. June 15th saw the City Council appoint Terry Sweeney as our new mayor and have him take the oath of office. Also, they received and order filed the 2020 budget audit, which was good. And then they authorized the German Park Amphitheater shade structure bidding process. At the July 6th council meeting, they accepted donations. They declared items as surplus that were unneeded by the department. And they tabled the Vietnam Veterans Monument in German Park to form a committee to recommend future action, I think coming at the second meeting of the City Council in September. That's all of the park and recreation activities that have been before the City Council over the past month.
Thank you, Director Spitz. Any questions?
I have a quick question. For the committee, is that going to be made up primarily of city council members committee or just?
I believe the email went out already. There was some volunteers in the audience that night, and
Okay,
the email went out for it. If you want to be considered for it,
okay,
give Chris Dalton give him a quick
okay.
email.
Okay. Just curious.
No, it is not all city councilors.
Okay,
Shouldn't be any.
thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll move on then to the next item is old business. And under old business, we have a renew update. Director Schmitz.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. The Recreation Center Renew project is approximately 75% complete. I think we all know what the improvements include: a new aquatic center, a new indoor playground. These are all indoor facilities. The Regional Gymnastics Center that will be leased to Turner Gymnastics Academy in the former swimming pool room, and then an expanded and co-located fitness center for strength and cardio both. Those are the major projects. We are also replacing the floor in the field house and the green curtains, the curtains in the field house with mesh athletic netting, sprinkling the entire building for fire suppression, and we recently had the new boiler or the boiler system replaced, so lots of repairs and replacements, and then of course new additions. We are still on schedule for an opening this autumn. We're looking probably at this point in time, sometime during the month of September. The fitness center, fitness equipment at the Civic Center will be closing down the fitness center at the Civic Center in the next few weeks. And our plan is to open a portion of the new facility at the recreation center, the strength and cardio fitness equipment. We will be opening that, we think, sometime in August, prior to, of course, the aquatic center being complete and some of the other improvements. So that's our plan at this point in time.
Thank you, Director Schmitz. Questions? Okay, we'll move on to new business. First item on that agenda is North Park Shelter.
Yes, thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. We have a very kind and generous offer by the New Ulm Lions Club to fund an open shelter in North Park near our new splash pad. You see information in the packet that includes relocating the small open shelter and repurposing that elsewhere in our park system. The new open shelter is expected to be approximately 24 feet by 38 feet with 6 supporting perimeter posts. The project will include a concrete pad, site work, and accessible sidewalk to the open shelter, conduit infrastructure for future utilities, including water and electricity. The shelter is kind of our new standard of shelter, where we start out basic with kind of an open shelter, but it's designed in such a manner that it can be enclosed in the future if the desire is for that and funding becomes available. Permanent signage will be installed on the shelter, recognizing the New Ulm Lions Club. I think it's a fantastic offer, and I recommend that you forward this on to the City Council. This is just a depiction of what it will look like. This isn't a larger 8-post shelter, but this is just a depiction. We do have representatives here from the Lions Club. If anyone would like to speak, please come forth.
I will speak. I'm Don Wendell.
Right up here, please.
Please state your name and address, please.
Yeah, Don Wendell, New Ulm, with the Lions Club. Thanks, Tom. Okay, so our chapter did a survey of our members, and our Lions Club member, Keith Richter, put that survey together, and one of the things that our Lions Club said was needed was a lion shelter. Now, if you drive around other towns in Minnesota as well as America, you will see a lot of lion shelters in those towns, and New Ulm has never had a lion shelter in our over 80-year history. So that was one of the priorities we had from our survey that we did. And then when it came down to getting an estimate for this, we worked with Ryan Wire at the city there to come up with an estimate for a shelter. We talked to our board of directors. They were in favor of it. We talked to our general membership. Tom, have they gotten this letter that we sent to you with those items that we gave you when we were
We've got that
talking?
information,
Okay.
but we can reiterate that.
Okay.
Yes?
Can it be put up on the screen or not?
Not right now.
Okay.
But it is in the packet.
Okay, it's in the packet.
Information is-
So I'm just going through what we've done up to this point. We have determined that this is a priority of our chapter. We are going to fully fund this with Lions Club membership payments. There'll be no money from the city on this. Okay. Ryan came up with this design criteria. Once we donate it to the city, of course, then the city will be responsible for maintenance and upkeep on it. So our concerns are we will need 2 lion signs, which we will purchase, placed at each end of the gabled end of that shelter. And those will be permanently a part of the structure, permanently meaning permanently. The cost of the signs will be borne by our Lions Club. A plaque will also be attached to it signifying the Lions Club of New Ulm has provided the shelter for this, has paid for this shelter. Now, Ryan, when he did the estimate, he put in that packet that you're looking at, he put in that electrical and water would be stubbed up to the shelter. That's what he's included in the estimate at $36,000 and some dollars. We plan on breaking ground on this in the spring next year. And if any of the other members would like to speak about it, Glenn, Keith, Tony? Okay, any questions for me?
Was this, I mean, it's fantastic, where the city of New Ulm, I'm sure we're gonna accept and put it up. Was that the first choice of the Lions Club, North Park?
We talked about different locations, but just reviewing over the usage of that park and the kids that are there at that splash pool, and that they don't have any place to get out from underneath the sun. And so we felt that was the best place.
Tom, could you describe, you said in your earlier report that there is already a structure on, and I can't picture it. What is already on the property?
There is a small mini shelter. See, this is North Park, the 3 ball fields, like 4 blocks. This we'll call the New Ulm Northwest block where the splash pad is, not shown in this aerial photo. This is the small existing shelter. So the splash pad is in here. This is our neighborhood playground. The splash pad is here. The sand volleyball court is gone. But this is the location that has kind of been in the park plan for a while, especially since the splash pad came in for a shelter. And then our yard game circuit is going to be developed here over the next year or two. We have removed some horseshoe pits, but have left some, and we've installed some concrete permanent beanbag toss targets. We're looking at a bocce ball court, gaga ball pit or 2, and kind of a yard game circuit here for youth and adult also. So that would kind of fill out this quadrant, this quarter of the park. And it's the location was a joint recommendation by the staff and the Lions Club working together to kind of complete this park and provide shade to the users of the playground, the splash pad, and the yard game circuit.
Is it first come, first serve, or will it become like a rentable?
It will be a
space?
reservable, rentable shelter like all of our other park shelters and picnic shelters
So
are.
there'll be a fee to the recipients or the
If you want to
individuals who
reserve
reserve
it,
it?
yes. If you want to reserve a shelter, you need to reserve it through our department and pay the reservation fee. Correct. Otherwise, they're first come, first serve, open to free use to the public.
And our club actually discussed that, and we're fine with that, Carissa. If our Lions Club has to rent our own, that's fine, so.
Any other questions or comments at all?
Yes, I have a question. I drove out there and walked around. There are, and I realize that space is used and utilized. Both my kids played ball in those parks. But with this new, there will be four shelters at that park. And I realize the Lions are donating this, which I think is fantastic. I just question that, and then it says here that one of the other will be located, the existing will be relocated elsewhere in the park system. I guess I would like, and I know there's other parks, there's definitely Riverside, and Nels Park has 0 structure. And they have a lot of people. So, it's placed there, it's being placed there, and I'm definitely not going to be against it. But if they're going to put this shelter that's there in another park system, I think it should go to a park that does not have an existing shelter at all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundberg. I think I heard you say there are 4 shelters in North Park, and there's only, this would be the second one. There's the
There's cover-
restroom shelter facility here in the middle.
And there's 2 other covered, 2 other structures where you can sit under.
Oh, shade structures,
yeah,
yes. There's a
shade
shade structure
Right.
over this
Right.
miniature playground
Right.
and
Yeah.
a shade structure up here, correct,
And our
yes.
park, or Nels Park, has 0. And I'm just thinking if they're not going to use that shelter, possibly that could be moved to to Nels Park?
I think that'll be a discussion in the agenda later today with our CIP plan, our capital improvement plan. There certainly are other neighborhood parks in dire need of shelters, correct.
Any other questions for me, I guess? Okay, yeah, thank you.
I had the same feeling. Tony Miller, 327 South Valley, Goosetown. I had the same feeling about another park, and as you probably know, since I'm from that area, that Riverside would have been a good choice. I've been assured that this is not the first Lions shelter to go up. So I will be pushing, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be on this committee, because I wanted to be able to see if we can't push for another one and probably push one down in Riverside Park. So that would be my next choice. So I'm still part of that. Thank you.
And I just want to say, I've been involved with the Youth Power, which is part of the, what's it called? The other committee.
Optimist Club?
Yeah, the Optimist, yep, the kids, part of the Optimist Club. And they had an event there, and they only, that shade structure that's there was just enough for the volunteers to kind of be out from under the sun, that they could set up one table and have the freezies and ice packs and their water bottles there, and the sweet volunteers that were volunteering their time to be out from under the sun while the kids were kind of playing. But then the kids would want to get out of the sun and they would want to come, but it's just not big space. So when I saw that it was going to go to North Park, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to provide just a little bit more room, especially for picnic tables to be under, that more people can get from out of the sun while they're utilizing that incredible splash pad.
Well, I know I go to many a baseball tournament, okay? And almost every state baseball tournament, I'd say at least 85% of them have a shelter put up by Lions.
Mm.
They do. You see them all over. And they do wherever the design came from, they are terrific looking. I can tell you that now.
Any other comments, questions? So before us is whether you want to recommend to the city council accept this donation. And placement.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to recommend that the city council accept the donation from the Lions Club for a shelter in North Park. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much, Lions. Our next meeting will be the next city council meeting. Thank you.
The next item in the new business agenda is donations. Director Schmitz.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. As often happens, we've had a number of donations offered to the City of New Ulm through the Park and Recreation Department over the past month. I'll read those into the record. German Park Paver Stone, $200 in memory of Kurt and Ella Eisen from Heidi Glover. German Park Amphitheater, $5,000, completing their $10,000 pledge from Bank Midwest. And then Herman Heights Park Paver Stones, $200 honoring Linda Newton Arduzer from Susan Froherhelm Sandberg, $200 honoring Laverne and Barbara Ripley, $200 honoring Perkins Restaurant here in New Ulm, and $200 honoring Otto and Marion Schenk. The grand total is actually $6,000 in cash offered to the city of New Ulm through the Park and Recreation Department over the past month. And I recommend you forward that onto the city council for their formal acceptance.
That we accept the total $6,000 in donations as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept the donations and recommend that the city council also do so. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Final item that we have in new business is the 2022 budget planning.
Thank you, Chair Skillings and Commissioners. There's not necessarily any action that's necessary at this meeting unless you feel strongly that you'd like to proceed. This is the latest staff recommendation for projects. We have traditionally spent $500,000 to $600,000 annually on repair, replacement, and additional projects to the system. I apologize that in the packet, it didn't really come through the PDF process very well. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit here. Let's see. And so as you can see, these first few, the first one, German Park Angel Fountain Basin repair, that's a necessary repair, estimated at approximately $15,000. That's the basin that holds the water. It needs occasional repair and maintenance. The amphitheater shade structure, we anticipate moving forward. We've got that $300,000 reimbursable grant from the state, although the project may be more costly than that. So we'll see as we open bids in the next month. Herman Heights Park Shelter repairs, a small amount, $20,000. We've got this proposed shelter in North Park, funded by the Lions Club in the capital improvement plan. And then also batting cage improvement at North Park, a necessary amount to improve the surface and reduce the maintenance costs with maintaining the surface in the batting cage system in North Park. And we've already got $5,000 donated through KNUJ and the Minnesota Twins Community Foundation towards that project. And then Washington Park Shelter needs repairs. We're recommending at least $25,000 be spent on that for repairs. And then the parking lot at the Civic Center needs a mill and overlay. That will be funded by sales tax dollars, not our annual budget. So those certainly are ones that staff is recommending that we move forward with a variety of different funding sources, not a huge amount out of the levy or the annual fund, so to speak. And then beyond that, we'll see what happens over the next few months. As you know, the September is when the city council adopts the preliminary budget. And then they have until the end of the year. In December is when they finalize and adopt next year's budget. So we do have time to think about this and propose some ideas or expenditure plans to the city council through the Park and Rec Commission. We anticipate hearing very, very soon about our State of Minnesota Department of Natural Resources grant towards Upper Cottonwood Park. And the preliminary word is very positive from the DNR on that. So we anticipate being offered that matching grant to begin park acquisition and development in the Upper Cottonwood Street area. We have Lincoln Park Shelter in need of renovation at some point in the next few years. I know Commissioner Lindberg mentioned Nels Park needing shelter, so does South Park, Riverside Park, Skate Park. The trail is going to need refurbishment in some areas, possibly significant refurbishment. We're looking at the paved trail needs with the engineering department presently, and we'll prepare a plan for that. So really, that's, kind of what I'd like to point out in these top couple of groups. And if you want to talk or comment or ask questions, we could do that now and/or later at next month's regular meeting. Or if you prefer some sort of a work session, we could do that also.
I don't think we'll have our preliminary yet before the next park meeting, right?
Correct.
I mean, not preliminary
Correct.
budget, excuse me.
The preliminary
Yeah.
budget comes to the city council in September.
Tom, what did you use to determine the ranking? The high, medium, on the very right, how you ranked each one?
That is just a staff opinion and a staff review. Somewhat subjective. We don't have a quantifiable matrix set up for some of this stuff, but we certainly view maintenance and repairs of facilities that are utilized. That is a very high priority. If there's a facility that is not utilized, that would be a lower priority and potentially even removal or mothballing of a facility. But facilities that are utilized, we need to maintain them and repair them and upkeep them. And then as far as additions to the system, staff wants to make sure that the commission and the council is very careful with adding to the system. We already have a very expansive and extensive system, and normally additions mean additional maintenance costs over time. We do have a significant need, I call it the anti-skin cancer need, to provide shade to people, shade to human beings where they are in parks, where they gather. And that comes in the form of shelters and/or a shade tree cover. For instance, Nell's Park doesn't have a shelter but has significant legacy oak trees up there that provide shade in some areas. So those are some of the criteria that staff uses to analyze and make recommendations for repairs, renovations, and/or additions to the system.
I know one thing, Tom's gonna come up, and I think I had brought it up one other time at the Park and Rec Commission meetings, about our 5-year plan. I mean, I like the high, medium, low, and whatnot, but eventually, I know council's gonna wanna see that. What's the 5-year plan? 2023, I wanna do German Park, Herman Heights is gonna get done. 2024, North Park, that's what you're gonna concentrate on.
Yes, that's what we're going to be doing. We had that CIP plan established about a decade ago, and most of the elements in that CIP plan have been completed through renew and our annual improvements and repairs to the system. So it is time for an update to our short-term and long-term CIP plan.
Can you remind me to the city process for budgeting for this? Is an allotted amount, or do we get the preliminary, does the city get the preliminary budget and then determine what is allocated to Park and Rec? And then there's a proposal of how to potentially spend additional available funds?
That's a great question. Basically, the department comes up with a recommendation, with the department and the commission working together, and then that recommendation goes to City Hall administration, the city manager and the finance director, and then they review that, and then they kind of finalize any departmental proposal that will go to the city council. So no, we don't have a specific dollar amount, but they do look at needs versus wants. And we certainly are very careful to not raise property taxes insignificantly, and to be very careful to budget conservatively when it comes, to revenues, and liberally with expenses, so that we end up with a balanced budget annually. That's really
Go ahead,
where
Tom. One of the simpler ways, the question you were asking, I mean, if you go to our finance director, they can actually give you a copy of it, like what LGA the park uses, the tax revenue, what they fund themselves. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
The council's given that every year.
Okay.
the breakdown of it after we cut or add, and how it's funded, how it affects LGA tax revenue. And I have never figured out what that other source of income means yet.
Yes, and generally, in general terms, our park and recreation budget, we bring in about a third of the total revenue through user fees. And then we bring in we're allotted about a third of our expenditure budget, or our budget from LGA, from the state of Minnesota local government aid. And then the other third is local property taxes. So it's local property taxes, state aid, and user fees generally, as a rule of thumb, make up the park and recreation budget, which varies between, $3.5 to $4.5 million annually.
I'm guessing, Tom, we're going to see an increase in operational expenses due to expanded facilities.
Along with an increase in revenues at the recreation center. So time will tell as we work through that. The department is committed to maintaining and operating the additional space at the recreation center with existing staff and existing funds. So we are really going to work hard to not need additional property taxes or state aid to fund the operations at the recreation center. We know there's going to be more toilet paper and utilities and, custodial needs, but we're anticipating a significant increase in usage and memberships and rentals at the expanded recreation center. And it may take 1, 2, 3 years for that to level out. But great questions and comments.
One more question, sorry. The last time, Tom, you mentioned a 10-year priority or capital improvement project. It was a 10-year plan. Was that created, are you seeking guidance on this? Or are we, if we should be getting deeper, and I'm guessing city council and finance would appreciate if we had a thorough 5-year plan of assessment of all the facilities that we have, additional, what those would cost?
Correct.
Okay.
The critical thing that's in front of us over the next few months is going to be next year's budget. But in addition to that, we certainly need to update our comprehensive capital improvement plan for the next 10 years and beyond. And there's various funding mechanisms in there. As you see in this Excel spreadsheet here, there's, grants involved, donations involved, and then other municipal funding. So yes, I would suggest we, consider a work session, before the end of the year to try to lay out an expenditure plan and a project plan for the next decade.
What might be helpful if we do go into a work session is to have a list, and maybe that exists already, of all of the parks and then and I feel like we've looked at that before, of all of the facilities or the activities that are available at the park, even an estimate of visitors that come to that park as well, or if they're categorized by their size or, how many community members they attract to help us make decisions or to help us prioritize the high, medium, low, in addition to costs or what type of investment.
Yes, exactly. And another key element of our system here in New Ulm are the neighborhood parks that are for everyone versus the single-use parks. We've got a lot of single-use parks. And how do we balance repairs, replacements, additions, renovations between that? Johnson Park basically gets used by a certain group of baseball programs. We've got this trap and skeet range, the dog park, the archery park, the pollinator park. There's just a lot of single-use parks, skate park, BMX park. So we need to be careful on and cognizant on how we move forward and how we recommend systematic repairs, replacements, and additions and renovations to our system. trails, are another one that might be grouped into the neighborhood park concept that, is really there for everyone to utilize and use. So, I'll work towards putting together a work session over the next few months. We might not get it put together in the summer here with people's vacations and so on. Do you have any comments on what month or when we should consider a 1 to 2 hour work session?
Is there any dependency that the city council would be looking for that from us in any period of time?
Soon as
That'd be
possible.
helpful.
Actually, I liked it the last time council does their work sessions. We all know you got your meeting Monday night. I know we got baseball guys on the board doing it right after, because you kind of committed to Monday anyway. That's my take, if it works for people, a work session. Right after our meeting, because I realize everybody's schedules are
So
busy.
by the time our next meeting is, baseball's over,
Really?
about 99.9%.
Well, let's talk about our next meeting is August, the second Monday of August. Does anyone know that they will not be in attendance then, or wouldn't be available for an extra hour? I mean, to go from 5 to, or 4 to 6, something like that, instead of 4 to 5. Should we shoot for that second Monday in August, or do you want to wait till autumn?
Tom, I have a question about, we do the tour at
Yes,
some point.
yes,
Would it be good to maybe have the tour before we have a work session?
yes, I would recommend that, yes, yes.
So maybe we do the tour next month
Work session in
and
September.
work session in September, if that's soon enough for the city council.
Yes, I mean, the council doesn't make their final decisions until December. They do adopt a preliminary budget in September. The timing should work out for that. Does anyone know they will not make the August meeting, the second Monday of August, which is the 9th? And then our meeting in September is the Monday, the 13th, which would be prior to the city council packet. The second meeting of the council is the 21st in September. So we could do the tour in August and at least finalize our 21 request, our 2022, next year's budget request at our September meeting. We might not need the entire 10-year plan complete by then, but
Sounds good.
okay, I will work towards organizing a system tour. We try to have a short meeting then, and then climb on the big city van, and we'll drive around to some select park units.
Sounds good, thank you. Any other comments, questions regarding that? Well, let's move on then to the to reports from commissioner and staff. Do we just receive an order filed your report, Director, or did you want to cover
The first is to receive an order filed, the activity
the
report.
activity
The
report?
monthly activity
Okay.
report from June.
Okay. Is there a motion to do so?
So move.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and or file the June 2021 Department Activity Report. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carried. Next report from staff.
Just a couple of items, Chair and Commissioners. We are still planning to put together a sneak peek of the Recreation Center sometime in the next month or so for the commission, the council, the Renew Committee, and the media. We've gotten through the vast majority of our ribbon cuttings and open houses recently. We still have, I know, at least one yet to do, and that's the Outdoor Learning Center or outdoor classroom at Riverside Park Building in the event deck. So we will be doing that sometime in the next month or so. A lot of utilization at the 2 wading pools and the splash pad, even with an occasional hiccup where we have a mechanical problem that needs resolution. But the 2 wading pools and splash pad have been very heavily utilized over the past month. I don't know if Assistant Director Corman has anything else to add. I do know that our programs are quite busy, and now that we're moving forward slowly with the virus and the pandemic, we're able to offer more programs and activities. Today's Monday, so there's a Monday night concert, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest attended of the summer, the Wendiger Band down at the German Park Outdoor Performing Arts Center. So I highly recommend you take in those free outdoor concerts as you have time. And then the various athletic activities. Johnson Park, Miller Park have just been super busy with games, league games, and of course tournaments, along with junior baseball out at North Park. We're very fortunate to have a lot of great facilities and utilization of them by both locals and visitors who come to town. So I think that's all I have to add at this point in time.
Thank you. Commissioners, anyone have anything? Okay. Well, the date of our next meeting, as mentioned earlier, is August 9th. Plan to have a short meeting and then tour our facilities
Correct.
that day. And with nothing else, I will adjourn our meeting.
Thank you.